Welcome, Dee Dee, to Kulturpod Lounge at Elbjazz Festival. We are pleased to have you here today.
Oh, I'm pleased to be here. And I think this gentleman next to me, but I'll let him say because I don't want to speak for him.
Dee Dee, will you marry me?
Yes, I will marry you. Musically.
Anyway, as far as I could see your activities during the last 2 days, I think you've grown to be a Hamburg girl now.
I don't know. I like when I come here. But I think that between today and last night, this is the most expressive I have ever been when I've come to Hamburg.
You are here to present your new album, and you did that a moment ago, and I think people loved it. And it's called Dee Dee's Feathers, so this is why Irvin, your soon-to-be husband, is here too. And tell us about this album and how it came about.
Okay. Well, the album title, it came from Irvin. Irvin Mayfield gave this new album the title, Dee Dee's Feathers. We were in the studio, actually we were in the control room, and we were listening to something being played back, and he's in one of the chairs, and he kind of swings it around, and he goes, Dee Dee's Feathers. And I go, I like it. And I knew immediately what he was talking about. I said, yeah, that works. That works. And so I don't know where Irvin got that from. Where did you get that from?
Well, there are two beautiful selections on the record that stand out a little bit different from other songs. The majority of the songs have the 18-piece New Orleans Jazz Orchestra supporting Dee Dee's voice, which is a unique orchestra because we actually have a banjo in the orchestra. The clarinet leads the saxophone section. And you hear the clarinet, the banjo, and the trumpet, very old school New Orleans traditional jazz sound in a modern way. But on these two selections, one called Congo Square and one called Dee Dee's Feathers, is just Dee Dee singing 6 or 7 vocal tracks by herself and all percussion. And it is just gorgeous and it is lovely. And I believe it was the first time she sang so many overdubs along with herself, but she's improvising. She's making up all these things as she goes along, and it was a lot of fun, and it really was the spirit of doing something new. And what I love about working with Dee Dee Bridgewater is she's always ready to try something new, which is not the case for a lot of professionals who've had a very successful career. A lot of professionals are afraid that if they try something new, it may not work and the audience will no longer appreciate it. But Dee Dee is not afraid. She doesn't approach things with fear. She said, let's try it. And everything we wanted to try, we did. And that selection, Dee Dee's Feathers, is kind of about, about Dee Dee and her trying something new and coming to New Orleans and embracing that.
We have to explain a little bit who you are once again, Irvin, because you are the director of the New Orleans Jazz Orchestra, and you yourself are a trumpet player, as we could see earlier tonight. How did this meeting between you and Dee Dee come about? And maybe both of you can answer this question.
I don't remember. He has to answer because I don't think I was quite conscious when we met.
Well,
that's what happens when I go to New Orleans.
The first thing is that Dee Dee Bridgewater is the greatest jazz singer living right now. That's number one. So I knew Dee Dee Bridgewater from growing up and loving jazz. And I remember going into the record store and I would always recognize her album covers because her album covers were always beautiful. And I always loved the fact that her album covers seemed special. And one day I just thought to myself, if I get the opportunity, I would love to meet Dee Dee Bridgewater. I was a big fan of Billie Holiday, a big fan of Ella Fitzgerald. I was a big fan of Sarah Vaughan, Abbey Lincoln, and Dee Dee Bridgewater. Those are my top 5 jazz singers for me in the world. And when I got the opportunity, when I was the artistic director for jazz for the Minnesota Orchestra, we had the opportunity to bring Dee Dee to the Minnesota Orchestra, and we worked together for the first time, and it was so much fun. I couldn't wait to get her down to New Orleans, and when she actually came to New Orleans to work with us, we started to form a relationship, and Dee Dee Bridgewater became the honorary chairman of the board of the New Orleans Jazz Orchestra, and so we have many things that we've started and we've put in place. I am from New Orleans, and New Orleans is a city, of course, that created jazz, is where jazz was born. The first great jazz musician was named Buddy Bolden, and the part of town that Buddy Bolden is from is the place where the New Orleans Jazz Orchestra has just built the first space for jazz called the New Orleans Jazz Market. It is beautiful, and it's all built on the sound of jazz. And we also have a wonderful education program called the New Orleans Jazz Institute, where we have about 120 kids who all play jazz. And we have some fantastic little young musicians. If you could only hear this one girl who plays the clarinet, she's 10 years old, and she sounds like Sidney Bechet when she plays clarinet. And so this is the work that we're doing in New Orleans, but we also have the 19-piece big band that tours all around the world, and we're touring right now with Dee Dee Bridgewater. We're here, of course, today doing this music with a wonderful jazz orchestra, the UMO, that played today.
From Finland.
They did a great job, didn't they?
How is the Finnish New Orleans sound like?
You know, it was great. Dee Dee and I said it was so wonderful.
A love not new. I see my dear, changing, long has strayed.
I would say this. People always say, being from New Orleans, or if you're a black musician, they always say, well, what is it like if you go to Germany and you listen to musicians who are not from America or not from New Orleans? And the thing about jazz, and the thing about even New Orleans, is those things are just ideas. And the powerful thing about an idea is that you can embrace it from anywhere. And you see the testament of that when you hear creativity anywhere that you go. And whether they're Finnish or whether they were from Mars, they had the spirit and the soul, and you could hear it today. And I could see it when I looked out into the audience and saw people moving. I love when I see people moving in the audience. So, and I think they did an amazing job.
Yes.
Yeah, and we have this product, this wonderful kaleidoscope of what New Orleans is.
That's a
the
beautiful
rich,
word for it, a kaleidoscope.
the rich musical scene and history.
Yes.
Going from the soul and brass bands over. You played the Treme song today.
Yeah.
You had the Congo Square, the place in the middle of the city, I guess. And so you're from Louis Armstrong to Aaron Neville to Dr. John to Dee Dee Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, both of you. Irvin Mayfield, Dee Dee Bridgewater, thanks for
you.
being here.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Sandra. We thank you. And we've had such a warm welcome. Thank you so very, very much. It was a blessing. It was.
Hamburg loves you.
Yeah, and I love Hamburg, and we love Hamburg. It was great.
And for the people who don't know, Dee Dee was at the Echo Jazz Awards show, and she rocked the after show party. She was the one who had everybody go on the dance floor and dance their asses off.
You know, I turned 65 on Wednesday. 2 days ago.
Happy birthday
No.
to you.
No. It's not for that. I just say that to say that I have decided that I want to live life. And age is, it's a number. but I want people to feel the joy that I feel. And you know, when you have these kind of spontaneous moments with people, we knew hardly anybody that we were hanging with. And it was just so beautiful to see how infectious having nice, you know, funky music playing and dancing, and people were trying to leave, but they had to go by us to get out. And I would stop people and say, come on, you're gonna dance. And so then we just had this whole dance party going on. And it was just fabulous. And some people would walk past us and they would stop, and then they'd come back and they would just start dancing. It was fabulous. So, you know, Hamburg is a good city for that, though. Whenever I've come here, I've always gotten my party on.
Yeah, heat them up, heat them up.
Yeah, but it's not hard. It's not hard, not here, not in Hamburg. I think everybody's just waiting for the moment and the opportunity, and then they seize it. So we're gonna go party now. Well, in my room. Could you imagine? That would be hysterical.
Oh. I wonder how the hotel people...
That's what I'm saying. That would be hysterical.
Yeah.
I don't know that they would really be excited about that. And they might not let me stay there anymore if I did that.
Did you get the big suite at the hotel?
I got a suite. I don't know if it's the big suite. I don't think so. It's sweet, my suite. My suite is sweet. But I don't think it's like the presidential suite or anything. It's 2 rooms, but...
And they will rave about the legendary
I think we
Dee
could all
Dee
fit in
Bridgewater.
there. I think we could all fit in there. So, okay, let's go.
You're invited.
Let's go. Thank you guys to stop by. Thank you so much.
After a marriage proposal on stage, I mean, geez, you know, and just think, you know, I've been proposed to by a 37-year-old man. This